Hello, today I'll be talking to you about a fictional diagnosis of the character Sasuke Uchiha, and my name is Jackson Schultz. So, a little bit about Sasuke. He's one of the main characters in the show Naruto, and he serves as Naruto's rival throughout the series. He was born in the village Hidden in the Leaves, which is a village based on a Japan like setting. His clan, the Uchihas, underwent prejudice throughout the village because they had a power that no one else had. And because of this, one of the officials in the village, Donzo, ordered the annihilation of his clan. And to do this, he enlisted Sasuke's brother Itachi to murder the whole clan. Sasuke was the sole survivor of the clan, and so was his brother. So, with a traumatic event like this, a common diagnosis would be PTSD, and PTSD is triggered through exposure to a traumatic event that can cause fear-based re-experiencing and behavioral symptoms such as anxiety, nightmares, and avoidance of triggers. So, living in a society where violence is prevalent, and in Naruto, majority of the society is ninjas, and throughout the whole show, they're basically undergoing a war. So Sasuke is basically more predisposed to these traumatic events, such as violence and other forms of conflict. And then, if Sasuke went to a therapist, they would diagnose him with mental wound trauma after stress disorder, which is PTSD, which is the PTSD equivalent in Japan, and is called katakana. And Japanese cultures are highly exposed to traumatic events, with roughly 50 to 80% of the population. But most of the events individuals are exposed to in Japan are related to natural disasters, which is significant because they have tsunamis, earthquakes, and other events, with a lower rate being crime and violence compared to other cultures. And this is shown through the article Kawakami presented. And then this diagnosis is common in most cultures because most cultures have had their fair share of interactions with conflict, violence, war, murder, death, those type of traumatic events, and so they are able to see firsthand the effects of these events on an individual's behavior and other psychological stressors. So the evidence of PTSD in Sasuke. So throughout the show, Sasuke has flashbacks to the traumatic events of his younger self. He is portrayed as being helpless during the massacre of his clan, and he feels lots of negative emotions because of this. And then throughout the series, Sasuke also has a persistent negative state. Throughout the show, he is distant from others and doesn't communicate or involve himself in social activities. He feels horror, guilt, and anger at his clan's murdering and pledges vengeance against his brother. And then individuals are unsure of why Sasuke has these emotions because the whole operation of the Uchiha's killing was kept under wraps. And so this is called negative emotion differentiation, when we're unable to differentiate the emotions caused by PTSD rather than emotions caused from just regular stimulus. And so characters kind of treat Sasuke like he's just a Debbie Downer throughout the whole series instead of really empathizing with him and understanding where his negative emotions actually come from. And this causes him to be more isolated from the group that he's with. And then a major symptom Sasuke does not show is avoidance of stimuli that are correlated to the traumatic event. Sasuke's whole character arc is predicated on the idea that he is trying to avenge his family by killing his brother Itachi. This is not typically seen as someone with PTSD because they avoid stimulus of the traumatic event entirely, and their avoidance increases over time as the time of the traumatic event as we get farther away from the time of the traumatic event, their avoiding behaviors increase as well. And Sasuke, as he gets older, he tries more methods of fighting his brother. So instead of being more avoidant, he's less avoidant entirely. So treatment. The treatment plan I would advise Sasuke would be psychotherapy. This includes exposure therapy, which is slowly facing your fears through stimulus and learning how to cope with those. And then cognitive therapy, where the therapist looks at your negative thoughts and your thought processes and tries to interact with those and trying to change them into more positive thoughts. So your emotional well-being is not affected by those negative thoughts as much. This is appropriate for this disorder because it steadily introduces the causes for PTSD, creating familiarity of the event, even acceptance. And then I would choose this over pharmacotherapy because psychotherapy in recent years has been shown to be more effective, especially as like a frontline defense against PTSD, instead of just heavily relying on medication. And then some ethical concerns are maintaining privacy between the patient and therapist. The therapist might have to tell other people if the patient is threatening others or threatening himself, which Sasuke, who's trying to kill his brother, that would really break the trust between him and his therapist. So I don't know if he would be open to this type of treatment plan. And then some barriers that might prevent Sasuke from receiving this treatment is that in the time the show takes place, there's no modern medicine or modern therapy. So he would not be able to receive this treatment unless he could time travel, which I don't think he can. And then societal norms in the past are supposed to be portray themselves as tough, unyielding, unfazable figures. And so if Sasuke is over here talking about his feelings, that might be against his cultural upbringing of being tough and the usual male norms that we see throughout this time period. These are all the references that I have included throughout the presentation. I appreciate you all for listening, and I hope you all have a good day.